Episode 2. So there's not very much to show in code at the moment because it's only been a few days and I've been having a bit of a play about, but what I've also been doing is thinking about a lot about what the game is going to be. I've been spending time thinking through, playing about with art style, looking for inspiration, looking at other games in the genre that I want to look at, and trying to work out exactly in my game what cyberspace is and how you're going to be interacting with it and how it's going to be shown. And as there is no formal process for what I'm doing at the moment, in the thoughts that I've been having, I've been stepping further back and further back and further back, and what I'm reaching recently is the fact that what I need to do is have a serious think and start asking myself some questions and make some decisions on the reality of the game world that I'm creating, not just the cyberspace game world, but the actual physical universe that the game is taking place in. So taking that back from thinking about how a computer system might be represented within game, how the network might be represented, how you're going to move about between them, and the software that you might be crafting. I stepped further back, and realised that one of the very first physical realities of my game universe is the nature of how you get into cyberspace to start with, and the human internet hardware interface thing that has been implanted in you. Excuse me if I look away from the camera. I've got notes because I'm trying to be slightly less stream of consciousness than I was in the previous video. So in this game universe, it's quite likely that you have a physical implant in your head, something that interfaces your brain to the internet, to cyberspace. I'm assuming probably that this is an implant. I mean, classically within the science fiction that covers this, it is a physical implant. It's something that provides a hardware jack that's in your skin that you can stick a cable into, and from there then connects to your brain and nervous system to translate the experience of being in cyberspace into something your brain can cope with. I think I'm probably going to stick within the world of it. The implant is a physical implant. You're not wearing some fancy skull cap with non-intrusive interfaces in it, just because it goes with the genre and it's kind of cool. The question is, with that implant, when it interfaces into things like your optical and auditory systems, and I would assume again your physical nervous systems, so that you get punched in cyberspace, your body thinks it's been punched, that this system also therefore bypasses any physical connection to yourself, retaining only the basic autonomous systems, breathing, heartbeat, blinking, that you need in order to carry on surviving. What I haven't quite decided yet is whether the hardware that provides the interface also provides the generation of the cyberspatial experience, as in the representation that you see and feel and hear within cyberspace. Is that generated as a sort of virtual reality construct within the CPU of the implant itself, or does the implant act much more at a lower level, so providing the physical connection between the brain and the network, and then your brain just deals with making sense of the inputs that are coming in? So the question is it itself a powerful CPU that is doing compute work, or is it more like just a network card for your brain? Do processes, software processes that are run within a CPU that's on it, or do they run within your own wetware? Does it take advantage of the fact that it has a connection? It's almost DMA access DMA connection to your brain, to utilize your brain as a CPU, as physical storage, as in long term, so uploading and downloading files, that kind of Johnny mnemonic kind of thing, and using parts of your brain as RAM, or do the physical storage, the RAM, and the sensorial compute, the thing that's creating this virtual reality for you to live in, all get computed on it, and it's the connections into your brain are merely to allow it to interface with your nervous system and the various bits of brain that it needs to go into. I kind of like the idea that your brain is doing all the compute, that it's more like a network card than a physical computer. I don't know why, I just lean towards that. How long does it take to learn this implant when it gets in? For example, taking people that are, the experiments with artificial limbs that are happening at the moment, where there are nerve connections, electrical connections to your existing nervous system connected to the bits and pieces that move, a prosthetic of some description. Where's the balance between you just connect them up at random and your brain has to learn to cope with all these new sensory inputs, and the system has to learn to work out your sensory outputs. So do you spend a lot of time after the implant training it and learning it and treating it as as a prosthetic limb of some description, or does it instantly, you have it implanted and an hour later it's just working? I'm not entirely certain. There's also tied into this is why I've moved back to this, and I'm going to working out what the implant is, and then the connection, and creating my universe, my reality that has not a lot to do with actual gameplay, is time representations. When you're in cyberspace, how does time pass when you're thinking through things? If you imagine that you're going to go downstairs, put the kettle on, make a cup of tea, and in your head with your eyes closed, just think through all the steps to go and do making a cup of tea. You can think through it quite quickly, even if you're visualizing most of the steps and you're doing it in a very detailed way. You can run through the process in your mind much faster than the physical reality of it. So if you're doing the same within cyberspace, you're walking around, you have this virtual reality cyberspace construct of you walking between places. That's going to happen a lot quicker than it does in real time. So where the time scaling will work on this has to be decided, and how those representations of the time scaling are going to work within the game. I'm thinking that CPU cycles is a good minimum unit of time to use within the analogies of the game. So 1 second of game time equals X CPU cycles, which equals X amount of in real life time passing. So I'm wondering, for example, because we're trying to escape before something befalls our physical body, whether maybe that there is a place you can go back to which will show us CCTV footage of your body not doing very much, and you can check your own stats and what have you. You might be playing in game for an hour, but in the real world, 60 seconds has passed. The physical clock running on the CCTV for your body is going to be running, I assume, significantly slower than the parent clock time within the machine. So I've got to have to think about how these various clock speeds are going to tie in with each other, and whether CPU cycles as a time unit really works very well. I think it probably does. There's also the fact that different hardware, CPUs clock at different speeds. Is every piece of hardware in my physical universe going to be running at the same clock speed, or at least does one tick of a CPU always take the same amount of time across everything? It probably does, because otherwise we end up with time scaling within time scaling, and it all gets a bit mad. yeah, so that's kind of the state of it at the moment. I thought I'd do a much shorter, hopefully clearer update than the first update ever was, and do these more regularly and short. So, like button, subscribe, social stuff, whatever. And I'll keep fleshing this out. I will probably put in the description to this a public read-only link to the Trello that I'm keeping, where I'm putting out ideas, and I've started doing a few Google documents about things, so I may put a section into the Trello that contains a bunch of links to the Google Docs. Most of it is a lot of thinking out loud. It probably won't make a lot of sense, but I'll put it out there to start with, so link should be down there in the wibbly dibblies. See you next time.